The basement freezer. It was 2 a.m. when I woke up. My room was quiet and I thought I heard a sound. At first I told myself it was nothing, maybe just the house making noises. But then I heard it again, a low humming sound, like a machine running. The problem? The sound was coming from the basement, and I didn't have any machine in the basement. No fridge, no freezer, nothing at all. Just old boxes and dust. I sat up in bed listening hard. The humming didn't stop. It went on and on, steady, almost like heavy breathing. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and walked slowly to the basement door. The closer I got, the colder the air felt. By the time I put my hand on the basement door, my skin had goosebumps. I opened the door and stepped onto the stairs. The smell hit me first. Rot, like spoiled meat. My phone light shook in my hand. I forced myself down, step by step, and then I saw it. In the corner of the basement was a freezer. Big, white, and old. Rust all over the edges. I froze. I had never seen it before. It wasn't mine. The humming came from that freezer. I whispered, "What the hell?" My voice sounded too loud in the basement. I walked closer. The freezer lid wasn't shut all the way. It moved up and down slightly, like something inside was breathing. Stopped 2 feet away. My phone light shook worse now. Then it happened. A hand pressed up from the inside. Gray skin, long fingers. 5 of them, clear as day. I dropped my phone. The light hit the concrete floor, spinning. Shadows twisted across the walls. The lid rattled. The freezer shook like something inside wanted out. I snatched up my phone, bolted up the stairs, slammed the basement door, and locked it. The humming came back, louder this time. Louder, faster, almost like it was laughing at me. I didn't sleep. When the sun came up, I forced myself back down. My hands shook the whole time. I held a hammer just in case. But when I reached the bottom, the freezer was gone. All that was left was a big wet square on the floor. All day I tried to tell myself I imagined it. But deep down I knew I hadn't. I knew something was wrong. That night, right at 2 a.m., the humming came back. But this time it wasn't in the basement. It was in my bedroom closet. I froze in bed. My closet door stood half open. The humming leaked out, deep and steady. I whispered, "No, no." The door creaked wider on its own. My phone light flicked on by itself, pointing straight at the closet. Inside, the freezer stood there, big, white, and old, like it had been in my basement only hours before. The lid rose a little. A shadow moved inside. A hand touched the edge, slow and careful. I threw the blanket over my head like a child. The humming grew louder, and then the lid slammed open. The next thing I knew, it was morning. Sunlight filled my room. The closet stood empty. No freezer, no sound. I tried to convince myself it was a dream. But when I walked over, I saw the carpet inside the closet was soaked. A big wet square just like in the basement. I moved out a week later. I found a small apartment across town. No basement, no closet. Just one room, safe. The first night I slept like a baby. No noise, no humming. The second night I woke at 2 a.m. My heart pounded before I even knew why. Then I heard it. Humming, but not from a basement. Not from a closet. From right under my bed. Story 2. The Man Under the Bed. It started on a normal night. I was lying in bed, watching videos on my phone. The house was quiet, no cars outside, no wind, just silence. Then I heard it. Breathing. Not mine, deeper, slower, coming from under the bed. I froze. My phone screen dimmed. I turned the sound off, listening. The breathing didn't stop. It dragged, heavy, like someone struggling to take each breath. I whispered, "Hello?" The breathing stopped. The silence was worse. Slowly, I leaned over the edge of the bed. My phone light trembled as I pointed it down. Nothing, just dark floorboards. I laughed nervously. I'm crazy, I told myself. I set the phone down. Then the breathing came again, louder. I jumped out of bed, crouched low, and yanked the blanket up. My light shined under the bed, and there it was. A face, pale, wide eyes, staring back. The mouth opened. The breathing was mine, perfectly timed with my own, like it was copying me. I screamed and ran to the door. It slammed shut before I could reach it. I turned back. The face was gone. I flipped the mattress over, empty, floor clean. I didn't sleep. I sat with the lights on, watching the bed until the sun came up. Morning came. I told myself it was a dream. Work distracted me. By night, I convinced myself it was just my brain messing up. I crawled back into bed, shaky. At 3 a.m., the breathing came again. This time it spoke. A whisper, stretched and broken. Move over, my turn. Story 3. The elevator that wouldn't stop. It was midnight when I got home. The building lobby was empty. I pressed the elevator button, waiting for the doors to open. The screen above the doors showed the numbers going down. 7, 6, 5. Deuce, then it opened. I stepped inside. The elevator smelled like old metal. I pressed 8, my floor. The doors closed. The elevator jerked and started to move. Bing, do, pew. Then the screen jumped. 1. I blinked. There was no minus floor. The elevator kept moving. 2 to 3, the lights flickered yellow. My stomach turned. I hit the 8 button again and again. Nothing. The doors wouldn't open. Finally, it stopped. The screen showed 6. The doors slid apart. What I saw wasn't right. A hallway. Concrete walls. Wet floor. No lights except my elevator. I whispered, no way. Something scraped in the distance. Slow. Drag, drag, drag. I slammed the door close button. The doors moved an inch, then stopped. Something outside tapped them. Tap, tap. Like knuckles. I froze. Then the doors shut and the elevator lurched upward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The doors opened to the lobby. Normal light. Fake plant in the corner. I stumbled out. The guard looked up from his phone. You good? He asked. I nodded too fast. We have a basement? He shook his head. Nope, no basement. Just floors 1 through 12. I laughed nervously and ran upstairs. That night I dreamed I was back inside. The elevator went down on its own. The doors opened at 6 again. This time something stood at the end of the hall. Long black shape, no face. When I woke up, my shoes were wet, mud on the floor, and the sound of scraping echoed in my ears. Story 4, the mirror in apartment 3C. When I moved into apartment 3C, the bathroom had an old mirror. The landlord laughed and said, "Don't take it down, it's original." First week, nothing strange. Second week, the mirror fogged up even when I didn't shower. I wiped it. A handprint appeared, small, inside the glass. I told myself it was stains. I cleaned it with everything. Vinegar, spray, soap. The handprint always came back. One night I brushed my teeth and noticed something worse. My reflection blinked late. I blinked once. It blinked twice. I smiled. It didn't. I dropped the toothbrush. No, no, no. The reflection smiled on its own. I slept on the couch that night. Next morning, new words on the mirror. Don't turn off the light. I ignored it. That night I showered and turned the light off when I got out. The bathroom door locked by itself. The mirror scratched from the inside. Letters formed, hello. My reflection stood there, but behind it was someone else. Thin, gray, long hair. Just standing. I pounded the door until it opened. I ran. Next morning, new words. If you leave, I follow. I covered the mirror with a towel. That night, the towel was on the floor. Now every time I look, I see the gray figure closer. Last night, it pressed its hand flat against the inside of the glass. My reflection didn't move. Only the thing did. This morning, I woke to find words on my phone screen. See you tonight. Story 5, the night bus to nowhere. I took the last bus out of town. It was cheap. I was tired. I sat in seat 12A. At 2:47 a.m., the bus lights flickered. The road outside was just trees and signs. The seat beside me was empty. Then it wasn't. A man in a hoodie sat there even though I didn't see him walk in. I said, hey. He didn't answer. His face was a blur in the window reflection. The radio crackled. A voice said, "Next stop, home." I looked at my phone. The camera opened by itself and took a picture. In the photo, there were two of me. One awake in seat 12A, one asleep 3 rows back. I walked to the back. There I was, asleep. My face looked wrong, too soft. The sleeping me exhaled, fogging the window from the outside. I ran to the front. The driver stared straight ahead, his eyes glassy, his hands locked on the wheel. "Where are we?" I asked. "Between," he said. "Don't worry. We'll stop at 3. At 3 a.m., the bus stopped. The doors opened to fog, a bench. One light, no sign. Half the passengers stood and walked off, bags in hand. The man in the hoodie stood too. "Home," he whispered. I stayed in my seat. The doors closed. The bus moved. When the sun came up, we were at a normal station, but my phone had a missed call. Caller ID. Home duration 0 time 3 a.m. Attached was a new photo, me. Sleep in seat 12A. On the window next to my face. In the fog, someone had written one word, "Stay."